Welcome back to Suffocating in Suburbia. I'm Stevie GB, your host, your only host. And today we're going to talk about comedy again. I've been going sidelined a little bit on the music end, but we're going back to comedy. And what better guy to bring on than a good friend of mine who I've worked with, I think maybe twice. That's it. But, we connected. That's all that matters. And he's been very successful in his career. He has five albums, I counted them, on Spotify and Apple with great names. We got Welcome to Somerville, Handsomely Disheveled, No Sudden Movements, Not Model Hot, and his newest one, Quarantine Comedy. Now, I didn't make this announcement yet, but I try not to use the C word in this podcast, COVID, because I want it to live on. I don't want to remember this time, but it'll come up anyway. So that's all right. Ladies and gentlemen, he's been on Late Night with David Letterman multiple times, multiple albums, very successful, road comic, one of the best out there, Michael Sommerville. How are you, Michael?
Thank you for that lovely introduction. For a moment, I actually felt good about myself.
Well, you should. You're extremely funny.
Thank you very much. It's great to see you.
We worked together on a Paul Anthony show on Long Island in Theater 3.
Yes.
And I know we did another one. I want to say somewhere further out east, but I can't remember. There's so many shows I do with him. I love the theater shows.
I do too, and that's it's funny. Long Island is as specific as I can get because I'm from Jersey and I live in Manhattan now. So I could never tell you where I was in Long Island. It's all one place to me. And everyone's like, no, there's a lot of different. I was like, I don't know. I got on a train and I got off and did a show. But those are great shows. The audiences out there are always so nice and appreciative, and they're great.
Well, what I love about the theater shows is they come to the show. It's like it's an experience for them. They're coming to a theater. The stage is high. They're not in a club huddled together with drinking and. It's more of an event. It feels like a concert to them.
It's special. Yeah.
It feels like they're watching an HBO special. It has that and the stages are big, the lighting and the sound. It's just perfect. And they don't heckle because they feel like I said, they're watching something and that they're supposed to be enjoying. And it's a better crowd. It's usually an older crowd. And they're just better shows. I mean, you're a club guy too. You've done a lot of clubs, right?
I've done bowling alleys. I've done everything. You've been doing it 20 years. I've done you name it, laundromats and parks and. I cut my teeth obviously like in the bars, the backroom bars, and then the clubs, and then it's so getting to do a theater, like you said, when you're on stage and people are, you just feel good about yourself too, like this. Right. All those years and all those hours on stage, like this is like a payoff here. This is like a reward for us too. And
you feel like you've arrived. You feel like you've arrived.
That's exactly right. Right. And then the next night you're in back into bowling alley or sticking to a floor in some backroom bar, and you're back to reality.
It's exactly what it is. It's 100%. I've been at it a long time too. And now, where did you start? You're a Jersey guy. You've always lived in Jersey.
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey, but first tried comedy in college. I went to Notre Dame in Indiana, and so that was my first. And it wasn't serious. We had like a professional coming to campus, and they wanted students to open. So that was like my first, quote unquote, first show. But I didn't really get going after college. I came to New York, got a job at an advertising agency, and that's when I started messing around, like at open mics. And the funniest person in advertising contest was actually the big show at Stand Up New York, and I didn't even win. I came in second. I can't remember who won it, but I've always wanted to look him up.
That's funny. Now, I like asking comedians this question, and sometimes I don't get a serious answer. But growing up, when did you discover you were funny? Like, what age did you go, boom, I'm funny. I can make people laugh,
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Yeah. I came from a really funny family, and I'm no joke, probably like the fourth funniest in my family. My mom is just hysterical. My brothers are so funny. I think I'm only funnier than my dad, but so we grew up laughing, and I think it was in school. It would be tough for me to think of an age, but it was definitely in school, and I'm sure I made a girl laugh. And I bet, maybe it was fifth grade, sixth grade when you said, "Oh, she smiled at me," and there's something here. And so I wasn't the best looking guy, I wasn't the most athletic, but I knew that I liked the way that felt.
I like to say, around 10 years old, I realized it was a great way to get the bullies to like me and to get the girls to stop beating me up. So it was the opposite in my.
That's that's awesome. That just sums up the life
It
of
was
a
the
comic.
opposite. And you know, the sad part, Michael, is it's true. It's true. Because the girls used to beat the crap out of me. Because you know, what are you gonna do? You can't fight back. You can't hit them back.
And you can't gain weight, so you're screwed.
I was a skinny kid. They would beat me up. So, you know, I would make them laugh and then they would stop beating me up. And the bullies never really beat me up. They would pick on me. But again, it was a mechanism. Laughter was always a mechanism for us comedian types
Absolutely.
to fit in, to become maybe not
Yeah.
even popular. We weren't looking for popularity. We just wanted to feel like we were making a difference, you know? And
Yes,
right?
yes. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you almost, yeah, you want to define yourself. Like, I'm the funny
Yeah,
one. So don't, yeah, you don't have to worry about me. I'll be over here being funny. I've
right.
told you who I am. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's
I'm
a
the
lot of truth
funny
to that.
guy. And you know, it goes on. Like I worked in the accounting career, which accounting and comedy go together, like really. But every time I got a new job, it's like I wanted to be the funniest guy in the office. That was more important than learning the job.
That is hysterical. Yeah, because I was the same way at the ad agency. I'd be like, I don't really care if we finish this project. I just want to get laughs. And that was, and that, and the other thing I realized is I was actually on the account side. I wasn't a creative. I was on the account management side, dealing with the client, and I was always siding with our creatives, the people who were making our ads. I was always taking their side, and the bosses had to tell me, you're on the client side. You can't. You know, I was like, no, but I disagree with them. I thought he made a great ad, and the client's an idiot. And that was my first indication that maybe I should be more creative in my career.
Exactly, exactly. Now, growing up, did you have favorite like who's your favorite comedian? I think I know already, but you could say it.
Rodney Dangerfield, hands
Yes,
down.
yes.
Yeah, that's my
He,
first album, my
he's
first
yeah.
everything.
He's in my top 3 or 4, I think. I tried to come up with a list, and I put Carlin at the top because I kind of grew up with him. But yeah, Dangerfield is definitely he's amazing,
Yeah, well,
amazing.
it was just to me. I mean, at the time when I was a kid, it was just so. It was obviously it's Rodney, the energy, the self-deprecating, but the pace, the joke after joke, every 7 seconds, you know. And it wasn't until started doing comedy and so that I understood how good he was. Like to me, he was just a
Right.
silly man saying things, and then now I look at like, gosh, he was the structure and the wordsmith and everything was so I made it look so easy, and
Yeah.
it's not, you know.
No, it's not. It's not. What I love about Rodney is every single joke, and I've watched so many YouTube clips of and I remember watching him live on television. Every joke landed. I don't think I
Mm,
ever saw anything, and I never saw him live or in the clubs or working out material. But every time, even when after he was done on Carson and sat down with Johnny,
yes,
boom, 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 it was just like, and Johnny would be falling off the chair. It was just
it's
ridiculous how funny he was.
the best, yeah. And
The
if a joke
best.
didn't work, it fit his character. If something didn't get the laugh, his face and his tie, and I mean, just and he'd do a save, and like Johnny would love that as well. Those were the days.
Those were the days. Those were the days. And I love when he used to have Rod. You know what I loved about all those like Carson was he didn't have people on because they were plugging a movie or
Yeah,
plugging something. He just had them on,
yep,
right? Like
yeah.
Rodney didn't have albums and you know, he was just there all the time. And Buddy Hackett would come out and just tell a story. It was just,
Y- yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and they were
And
just
if you
hanging around. They were like buddies hanging around. It felt like a green room
that
almost, the
it's
Carson show.
That's the great, if you ever watch the old ones now, they're on whatever that channel is around here, and I love them so
Antenna, I
much.
think.
Yeah, they're an hour and a half long, first of all, which is crazy. And they had on like people who weren't even funny or entertaining. They had on scientists, and they would talk for 15 minutes about, it's like this is a real conversation. And now, like you say, it's all like promote this, soundbite that, go to commercial. It
Yeah.
was it was an enjoyable hangout, like you say, yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a hangout, and you got the sense that they really enjoyed what they were doing, and of course they were so happy to be on Carson, which was like, you know,
That's the Super Bowl.
yeah. I mean, Seinfeld would say like once you got on Carson, the next day you could quit your day job, and it was
Yeah,
100% true.
yeah, yeah.
Now that leads me to the next question. You were on Letterman twice. Now,
4 times.
4 times. I didn't
Four
know
times.
that. Oh, wow.
If you count reruns. Eight if you count reruns. Yeah, four
What was
times. Yeah.
what was the process like? How? I guess, I mean, I want to ask you, like, how'd you do it? And obviously it's hard, but what was the process? Do you send them a video and just kind of, or were you
No,
scouted? Or,
I just had my grandmother call. She said you should go on Letterman, and every Thanksgiving she said, "Why don't you go on that letter?" No, it
oh, I
was a
love them. Don't you love those Thanksgiving conversations? You should go on Saturday Night Live. Okay, I'll
okay.
give him a call tomorrow. I never thought of that. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Gramps. No, it's actually a really fun story. I was on the road. I mean, I was really road dogging it till 2011, 2012. I was doing like 300 days a year on the road and just
Wow.
pounded. Yeah, I was pounding it out. And I came home one night. It was like late. I don't remember. It was like a Friday night. Got home from wherever I was. And not even probably Sunday night actually after whatever weekend, and it was raining, cold, miserable in New York, and I had a spot in Long Island City, the Laughing Devil Comedy Club in Long Island City, which I
I
don't think
know
is
it.
there anymore. Yeah, and I didn't want to go. It was like 10 at night. I was exhausted, but I'd never canceled because of my own fatigue or anything. It's hard to get work in this business. You don't cancel. That was always my rule. And
Mhm.
so begrudgingly, I got on 2 different trains and all that to get to my 10-minute spot, and there's 4 people in the audience, and one of them was the brand new Letterman booker who had just moved in like 2 buildings down from the club, and she happened to stop in. I didn't know she was there. I did my set,
Wow.
got off. She approached me after and said, I booked the Letterman show. Would you like to be on it?" And I laughed. I was like, how drunk is this person? And she gave me a card there. I said, "Oh, sure, okay." And she had a real card. I was like, "Oh, wow, that looks like she really is." But we're so jaded in this business. I was like,
Yeah.
she's probably like a page, or I mean, this is just silly. So she said, "Email me the 5 minutes that you would want to do on the show, and we'll take it from there." And I said, "No problem." Like a week or two later, I didn't email her. She emails me and says, we met, and I said, and I was like, "Oh, you were serious?" Like I didn't even. I just was so used to getting lied to. And sure enough, we worked on a set. That might have been April 2012. And we worked
Wow.
on a set. And even then, I wasn't taking it seriously until Lenny Marcus was on. Because all of a sudden, it was, how it is. It's like the haves and the have nots. And all of a sudden, all these comics, it's the same names, the same everything. No one can break in, no one can get on the show. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing guys like Moody McCarthy, Lenny
Right.
Marcus. And I said, "Oh,
Right.
that woman was serious. They're really putting people on." And I
Right.
started to get excited. And sure enough, I got the call. I was in the Detroit airport coming home from Las Vegas, and I was changing planes. And I got a phone call, and they said, "You're going to be on Letterman August 22nd." And I started crying in the airport. I started crying. And yeah, that's the best call ever.
Oh my God. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine. That's great. That's great. Good for you. Now you said something really important that I've told new comics, and I try to use the same work ethic. You said you were at Laughing Devil, 10-minute spot, 4 people in the audience,
Yeah.
and you gave it your all, right? You gave it the same energy. You did the same act you
Always.
always do. Some comics are like, they'll go, "Oh, there's only 4 people here. What's the point in trying?" And not knowing that, look who was in the audience. And it's that same old
Exactly.
story. You never know who's going to be in the audience.
Well, exactly. And practice like you play, right? I mean, it's just I mean, even if it's if you're not on whatever, 4 people, exactly. Those are the 4 people who came, so you owe them a show. B,
Exactly.
I think comics, you tend to, and I've done this, you tend to protect yourself, be like, all right, well, this doesn't matter. So if you bomb or fail, you've already like insulated yourself from, okay, well, it can't hurt me because I already said this is not worth my time. But I mean, first of all, like, that audience paid to see you.
Right.
Some of the greatest moments come from those weird little shows. And yeah,
100%.
and then I've always believed you're only as good as every minute you've spent on stage. And so when you get the rare chance to be on stage, you got to make the most of it.
Right. And what's the point? You're doing not only a disservice to the people that came to see you, but to
Yeah,
yourself. What's the point in self-bombing? There's
exactly.
plenty of
Exactly.
opportunities to bomb. You don't want to bomb yourself. That's just like,
That's a great way of putting it too. You're
that's the way I
exactly
think
right.
about it. That's
Yeah.
exactly the way I think about it. It's like,
Yeah.
always do your best, because why wouldn't you? What's the
That,
point of
uh,
not doing your
a
best?
100%. No, it's true. My first job in the business. I don't want to go too long if you have more questions, but
No, that's all right.
the first job I ever got was when I quit that advertising job. I sent out a bunch of the VHS tapes at the time. There was no internet links or anything, but to all these like comedy bookers in the Northeast saying I'm a comedian and here's my 8-minute tape. And that was all the jokes I had, was 8 minutes. And within 2 weeks, I got a call for a job. I was like, this is easy. This business is no problem. And they said, you got a job. You're going to be at the World Trade Center at the time, before 9/11, obviously. And it's a corporate gig for an accounting firm. And I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to kill. This is great. And I spent a month preparing like accounting jokes and this and that. I wasn't sure what to expect. I got there. They handed me a trunk. And I said, what is this? They said, that's your costume. I wasn't hired to do comedy at all. I was hired to dance in a pink bear outfit on the dance floor because all these accountants were uptight and they wanted someone out there to like get them to dance. Like this is a corporate Christmas party or whatever. And so I've never forget, like I was staring at this trunk going, oh my God, I have all these jokes and all this stuff I'm supposed to put on. But from that moment, I decided I'm going to be the best damn dancing pink bear they've ever seen. And I did. I got out of there sweating. The eye holes didn't line up because I'm too tall for the costume, so I couldn't really see. But I was like, I'm just dancing as fast as I can.
That's a great story.
It was brutal. But to your point, you do your best, right?
Always do your best. And
you're never going to forget that pink bear.
Like, you never know. I remember I did, because I've done my share of hell gigs, and I did an outdoor party. Yeah, I don't know if you've done those outside.
Sure.
People having party, and nobody really, they don't know what they're doing. They hire a comedian, and I was the worst thing, the surprise comedian. You've been in there.
Oh God.
Nobody knows you're the comedian. Oh, what do you do? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And of course, kids jumping in and out of the pool, little girls staring at me with their towels on. It was just the worst. 900 degrees. I'm in the sun. I'm like 40 feet away from the tent. Nobody's paying attention. But I did it. I had to do 30 minutes, and I did 30 minutes.
Good for you.
All hell. Nobody listened, but I went through it. It was awful. And they had a DJ, and he was a pain in the ass because he was drunk, and he kept doing the rim shots. He's like hitting a button for rim shots. So now my act is not only sucking, but it's like got a whole new level of suck. He's doing rim shots. So I painted a pretty bleak picture. Afterwards, he goes, give me your card. He's like all drunk. I'm like, all right. Because I work. Sometimes you get gigs from DJs because they do parties.
Sure.
I give him my card. He gives me his card. About 6 months later, he calls me up and he says, you remember me at that party? I'm like, yeah, that was awful. He goes, you really toughed it out. That was great. Listen, I got a gig for you. Peter Max, the artist from the 60s that drew like Yellow Submarine type stuff. He's having a house party on his boat out of New York City. And he's wondering if you want to do it. Is how much would you charge? Is $1,500 okay for like 10 minutes?
Oh my gosh.
Of course, I'm shitting my pants. I'm like, yeah, this is back when I'm making $100,
Right.
And I'm like,
right.
Yeah, that should be fine. That should be fine. So I went on this boat. It was beautiful. But again, to give you the idea of like the worst gigs, somehow. You never know what can happen. And
that's fabulous, though. I mean, that is a real, that's the real deal. That's not just like, I got a gig at a wedding off of this. But yeah, that's awesome.
That was amazing. So yeah, things like that happen to comics, and I tell them, But then, like you said, the next week I'm at the Taco Hut, and
but exactly. I did my second or third Letterman. I love being able to say that. I had a gig at the Broadway Comedy Club right down the street. And that night, so we recorded on Thursday. They aired on Friday, so I recorded it at 5 p.m. on Thursday, and I went down into the 7 p.m. spot at the Broadway Comedy Club, still in my Letterman suit, still with my makeup on and everything, and bombed. The same 5 minutes that just got applause breaks, I bombed, and at the very end, I couldn't help it. My ego got the better of it. I said, "Well, if you'd like to see those jokes with laughs at the end, watch them on Letterman tomorrow."
There you go.
And I don't know if anyone ever believed me or did, but.
I play Broadway Comedy Club a lot of times, and the problem with that place, and I love Al Martin, don't get me wrong, but Broadway, because it's Midtown, I found out what goes on there. It's a lot of tourists because it's a touristy area.
Sure.
So I played to like a full house of people that don't speak English. They're
Yeah.
just looking at you. You know, they're like from Sweden. Like, where you from? Sweden. I'm like, do
Yeah.
you know what anybody's saying? No. It's like,
No.
why would they come?
It's man, they bark them off at Times Square, and it's
Yeah,
sometimes you can get a great crowd if you get the right mix of they love it. This is great, but like you say, other times it's like just it's brutal. Yeah,
they just stare at you. They're from Russia. They're from Sweden. They're from all there. It's New York City. It's tourist town, and it's
exactly,
you don't know
exactly.
what you're going to get. They're not going to stand up New York or into the Village. They're going Midtown. It's right
No,
there.
no, and someone found them right there in Times Square and sold them a ticket, and here we are. Now
That's
those
it.
are you can have the best show and the worst show of your life
Yeah.
all within a couple hours.
Yeah, it's hard. And then, I'm living on Long Island. I got to take that train ride home, and I'm thinking, why am I doing this? What am I
Yeah,
doing? Because
yeah.
every bad gig, you feel like you really feel terrible, right? You just
Oh yeah, it's that
yeah,
hangover. It's true. That's why I always hated, not always, like some clubs, like you go on the road for the weekend, Sunday night can be fun, but a lot of times it's 50-50. If you have a great weekend, Friday and Saturday, great shows, and then there's one more on Sunday night and it just sucks, and it's 7 p.m. and there's 10 people there, and you're like, why? You guys aren't making any money. I don't want to be here. Like it's just, and you leave the gig just feeling like, we could have been done on Saturday.
I know the Saturday night shows are where you want to end up. That's where you want to
Yeah,
end up. The early
exactly.
show, the Saturday late shows are
It,
tough.
exactly. And in fairness, I will say Thursdays and Sundays, but more Thursdays sometimes are my favorite shows of a weekend if I'm at a club, because they can be people. If it's a good crowd, they really mean it. They're not out because it's Saturday and they have to go out, or
Right.
or they drank too much or whatever. They like Thursday, like, hey, they really meant it. They wanted to go see a show. They're kind of more
Yeah.
pure comedy fans. But I don't know if any of that's still going to be true after all of this.
I know, I know. I guess we got to talk about it. What is happening? What do you think? I think it's going to come back. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's going to come back. I think people are going to be hungry for it, but
Yeah, people are going to want to go out.
I think so. I hope
Yeah,
so.
I
It's going
hope
to be
so.
hard with like the 33%, 25% capacity.
Yeah.
Ugh,
I think it's going to take a while. I think people will always want to go out and see live entertainment. There'll always be people looking for something to do, date night, all that, whatever. I think it's going to be a long time before audiences feel safe. I mean, laughing is literally opening your mouth and spitting out at the. I mean, I mean, for me, I'm not comfortable yet when I think about that. I wouldn't want to be in a room full of 400 people. Maybe I'll do some new material. That'll make sure they don't laugh too much.
Now,
I
speaking
don't.
of new material, this new album you did, Quarantine Comedy. I listened to some
Yeah.
of it on Spotify. I love it. I love all
Thank
your
you.
stuff, but I think you're
Thank
so
you.
funny. And I mean, you kind of you took advantage of the Zoom thing, the whole staring
Yeah.
at yourself on a screen and doing comedy. It's very weird.
Yeah, yeah. It's it was a crazy thing. That just normally I plan to do an album. It happens. You're like, all right, I make a goal. I'm going to write. I'm going to look. A year from now or whatever. It's good. And this one was nuts. I was in New Zealand when it happened. Actually,
Wow.
last March. But as a comedian, I never take vacation. Just like I'm always feel too guilty to take time off. But my girlfriend had all this vacation days that were going to expire. And so we're like, let's do it. We took 3 weeks. We're going to go. How far can we travel? Let's go to New Zealand. And the world hadn't melted down by then. It was still like it was happening, and things were like, oh, this virus is getting scary. But so I remember the day I left, I told my parents, like, just get this. I'm gonna be gone 3 weeks. Get this thing settled. Get it over with by the time I come home. And that was March 9th. And so we were there and like kind of avoiding the news. We were hiking and biking and having a good old time, and not, so we were sort of seeing at night like a little social media, but we weren't aware of like the world was melting down. And then sure enough, March Madness got canceled. That's when it
Mm,
first got my attention. I was like, oh,
yeah.
sports? What's that? What? And then the United States advised all people to come home, and so yeah, I came home and like all of us, nothing to do. Comedy clubs closed, unemployed, sitting in my apartment in New York. So I started making those little quarantine comedy videos, just no audience, 2 minutes, ranting about life in the pandemic or whatever. And people liked them and shared them. And then you realize like it was the first time in our careers that everyone had the same thing in common. It was the first time that everyone in the world, because that's the whole challenge of a comedian. How do you relate to an audience? Well,
It's
everyone was
true.
wearing masks, and so I kept making those, and then started doing the Zoom shows, which we've all done. And they were, they're not the same, but in a weird way, they were like the audiences were so appreciative. Like they were like, yeah, this sucks. We don't want to be here either. And so there was a connection. And next thing I knew, I looked up and I was like, I've been running all these jokes and they're working. I think I have enough for an album here. So it sort of snuck up on me, really.
That's great. You took advantage of a situation. That's terrific.
I mean, after the last year, we didn't produce a whole lot of creative stuff. So it's a good feeling to say I did something.
You're right about the Zoom shows. When I first started them, I was like, "Oh, this is awful." Oh. But after about 5 or 6, I sort of liked them. It was kind of fun, even though you see all the boxes. And you're right, people enjoyed it, and it wasn't the same feeling that you get with a live audience, obviously. But what I found was afterwards, I was getting a lot of emails from people. That was really great. Thank you so much. They were appreciative that you took the time. I'm just take the time. I went upstairs. I didn't take any time. I'm here.
Exactly.
It's just like they don't realize what we really go through, you know?
Exactly. Well, that was exactly. I mean, no airplane the next day, no hotel that night. I mean, this is not so bad.
Yeah, it's easy for us, but for somehow they think we're going out of our way. It was like, okay, if you want to believe that, that's fine. Whatever works.
Well, this could not have been more convenient. I'm not even wearing pants right now. We're doing well. No, and I think when this is over, I mean, obviously the world was going to the internet anyway. I don't think live entertainment will ever be over, but this is the direction things were going, shows online, stuff like that. So I think this probably accelerated it. And in some ways, it's a good thing. Like I did a show there was a bunch of women in their mid 30s and they were all college friends. And now they were all, pregnant, had kids, all this and that, around 30, 35 years old. And it was one of their birthday. This is a couple months ago. And so they hired me to do a Zoom show. And they were in Brooklyn. They were spread around, whatever. And it was only about 12 of them. And it was so much fun because it was 12 women who knew each other. And they put their kids to bed and opened a bottle of wine and sat on the couch. And it dawned on me, I said, you know what, pandemic or not, they were never going out together. They got families. They're not in the same place and everything. And that really made me feel good. I was able to offer something that they were never getting together on their birthday. And now they had this silly comic just, do it. And then they stayed on after, of course, and had a good time. So I think that's here to stay.
Yeah, I think that's a good positive thing because you're right. You can have an audience where people are from all over the place, even internationally. Who knows? And you're right. They're not going to get together in New York and go to a comedy club and make an event of maybe one can't. I got 3 kids. I can't. I'm working. I can't. Oh, wait a minute. I could sit in my computer screen for a half hour or an hour.
Absolutely.
I could do that.
In your PJs and and I did a corporate, it was the same thing to your point. It was a Christmas or corporate party, whatever, holiday party. And same thing. And rather than just the New York office, they had the Australia office, they had everyone. And I performed for 400 people. And I was like, that's never happening again.
Yeah, I did a couple of corporate shows this year and they were great. They were like, oh, okay, we're all signed on. And, they had their annual meeting and said, okay, it's time for some entertainment. And boom. And they were loving it. They were loving it. And
it's again, you just got to do your best. You can fold up and say, all right, the world's ending and then my career's over, or you figure out some stuff to do,
Yeah. And I had fun. I had fun with it. And, it's a little weird, but it's okay. Like I said, after about 4 or 5 of them, you're like, okay, this isn't so bad.
I learned to not need laughs. That was basically it. Because I would when I first started doing them, I'd pause and wait and all. You're like, all right, this may not be. And eventually, you're like, all right, if I just don't need the laughs, and if they come, great. But if not, I keep moving it. And then once that clicked in my head, I'm like, all right, now I'm doing fine.
Well, that's what it is. Once you're in comedy a long time, you do kind of get that attitude. I don't know if it's an attitude, but the realization that, look, I know my stuff's good. I know it's going to work. And if they laugh, great. If they don't, that's fine too. I still know what I'm doing. And I don't want to say you don't care anymore because that's really not the right thing. But it sort of is. It's like you don't really, you don't put so much weight on, oh, I got to get a laugh on every joke. I got to make sure they laugh. It's your presentation and your confidence. And then you're not going to get everybody, and that's okay. But you did what you had to do.
Yeah, I think exactly right. That goes back to the 4 people in a room thing. And a comic who doesn't want to try, it's like, oh no, you're good, you're confident. Some nights are better than others. I always said the first person to look at is yourself. Don't blame everyone else. Blame yourself first and say, what could I have done maybe to be better? And some nights, some nights it is them. Sometimes they do suck, but
Well, yeah, I always say it's like setting a table. The table has to be set. Like comedy isn't like music. I always yell at musicians, you guys got it easy because you could
yeah,
just play music. Nobody has to pay attention. Nobody has to listen to you. But,
it's true.
like when you get hired for a private party as a comic, it's so hard because like what's the layout of the room? You got people
Yeah,
way over there. It's not like controlled. Now you have to figure out a way to make it work.
it,
You're on a giant dance floor and they're 40 feet away. The lighting is bad. Your
yeah,
sound system isn't working right. There's so many. They're trying to put you on. We'll put you on while people are eating. No, no, no,
uh,
no. You can't do that. Yeah. So you have. When's the right time to go on? So
yeah,
there's so many variables that you have to figure out a way to work out to go in
yeah,
your favor, and it's really hard. Like comedy clubs, I don't want to say I yell at them, but like if you just do comedy clubs,
yeah.
then you're not, you're kind of taking the easy way out. I always say this is a great thing I like to say is it's easy to bring people to comedy. It's harder to bring comedy to the people,
Oh,
right?
absolutely,
Because like a
absolutely.
comedy club, they're going there, they're going
Yeah,
to a comedy club. Or like I
yeah,
said before, a theater, they're coming to the theater to see a comedy show. They know
right.
what's happening. But if you're doing a Christmas party at an office, now you're bringing comedy to them. Now it's a
Yep.
different. They're like, what's going on? I don't. Maybe
Yeah,
they don't like it. Not everybody likes comedy. That's like bringing a rapper to like maybe they don't like rap music. Some
exactly.
people don't like comedy, which puzzles me also. Like, don't people like to laugh? Why aren't? What's going on?
Well, it's the same. It's like I think of it as a home game. Sports
Yeah,
analogy. A home. You come to a comedy club. It's our home game. You're on our
right.
turf. This is our yeah. But anywhere else, and like you say, especially in their space or in their
Oh,
world, if you do a country club and they all know each other, and it's just like, well, now you're on their turf, and
right.
you never know. But you're right. That's where your chops get. You get your
That's where you
chops.
get
That's
better, and
yeah,
like, I've done comedy in people's living rooms, and I'm sure you
yeah,
have too. It's like, it's weird, you're like in the living room and there's no stage, on their floor, you just got to
ex-
do it. And
exactly.
it's weird. And you got the old lady staring at you like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? Yeah, it's just a weird vibe. But what that does for you is when you do the clubs and you do the theaters, it's like, this is easy.
Yeah.
You do better, you're more comfortable because, oh, I'm home. Like you said,
Yep.
I'm home. I can
Yep.
relax now.
Yep.
So if you don't do those tough gigs, you're not really growing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I always
Yeah,
say I've never learned anything from killing.
yeah,
It feels good, but never learned a thing. But yeah, those are the gigs, and you also that's where you get confident too. Like you said, if you know you're good, you've been doing it long enough, and you get laughs. You know you're good at this, and I think that's half the battle to winning an audience because we forget that audiences are nervous too. They're nervous that you're going to suck. They're nervous you're going to
yeah,
heckle them. They're nervous like what is their role like. So we give them so much power sometimes, the audience, by I got to please them, which is true. It's our job to make them laugh, but also they got a range of emotions going on too. So if you
right.
stand up there and 2 feet planted in someone's living room, but you
Yeah.
act like you're supposed to be there, and I'm not saying cocky or arrogant, but just in your own shoes, you're comfortable. It buys you an awful lot of unspoken, I don't know what it is, energy or points.
Yeah, 100%. I loved, did you ever see the movie Seinfeld did with called Comedian,
Oh,
where he
sure.
writes? Yeah, I love that. It's very inspiring. But I love one joke he does, and it's 100% true, where he says, we put so much emphasis on you people laughing at what we do. Like it's all that matters to us. And what experience do you have? You've probably never told a joke. You're not funny. And what gives you the right to decide that what we do is right or wrong? What did you do? You bought two drinks. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
You bought two drinks, and we put our entire, weight of our everything on you.
Yeah.
And
Well, boy, that's more true than ever right now, huh? And with all this cancel culture, and this is you're not funny,
oh,
that's not funny, and I mean,
oh,
it blows me away. Like, I spent how many years have we spent, you and me combined, crafting, and some random person on a computer could tell me what's funny or not. Like, no, I decide what's funny. You don't have to like it, but it's funny.
well, I think we're the sense of humor, and I sort of blame. I had this conversation. I'm big into music. I love music, and I said one thing that's missing in pop music today is a sense of humor.
Yeah,
There's nothing funny in music anymore. It's all
it's
like
true.
love lost. You hurt my feelings. I hurt your feelings. It's like, where's the humor? Where's
It's
Lou
true.
Monte? What's the matter, you? Shut up, you face. Yeah, unless Weird Al comes out of retirement every 10 years, there's no sense of humor in music anymore.
No, no.
So,
Well, in anything, right? I mean,
in
Super Bowl
anything,
ads. Remember, Super Bowl ads used to be so much fun because they were funny, and for a long
yeah,
time there, you looked forward to the ads. And now the companies are terrified of trying to make a joke about anything for fear of who's going to be offended. You watch
right.
the ads now; it's all this touchy feely, people hugging, and the world will
Hugging
get
and
better.
dancing and like having political conversations and
Right,
trying to
right.
educate people on how they're supposed to live and how they're supposed to think is like, what happened to being funny? What happened to
Yeah,
making fun of people?
yeah.
Like on my list of favorite comedians, I got Joan Rivers and Don Rickles. And would they
There you
be
go.
around today? What? That's what they did. They came out and they just blasted people, and it was
Right.
funny.
No, it was great, exactly, and people loved it though. Everyone laughed at themselves and other people. It was okay. It made it. I mean, by drawing these lines and saying you can't talk about anything, it's huge steps back. I
Yeah, I don't know what it's doing. It's like the new world, I guess. It's not even going backwards because I think cavemen were funnier than this,
think.
right?
That's a good. I wonder if there was like a really, really funny caveman.
There had to be, right?
I would think
Probably
that
the guy
he's
that pulled the woman by the hair. He was probably pretty funny.
he's such a ham. Hey, everyone
There
else
he
is out.
goes again.
Yeah, they're all hunting, and this guy's just making jokes in a tree. That's great.
I'm sure the cave painters were pretty funny. I mean, they were probably drawing some crazy stuff on the walls.
Yeah, sure, a
Oh,
little
there's
dog.
Joe. He fell out of the boat. That's hilarious. That
That's
Cro-Magnon man, he's a pisser.
that's really funny. That's great.
That's
Yeah, I bet
that's
there
a
was
good premise for something, right?
it's got to
It's
be the
very
first.
true.
I used to try to write jokes about that, like who was the first person who sneezed, who was the first person
Right.
who, like, and none of them ever worked. But that's a funny idea.
Yeah.
Who was the first guy to laugh?
It's true. I mean, yeah, I love watching like old, Groucho Marx Brothers and Abbott and Costello and even the silent movies, the silent shows, and they were funny. They were just
Yeah,
slapstick and
yeah.
brilliant. They were brilliant comedians as far as ability to physical comedy
Uh,
was
to get laughs and not speak
incredible.
is, I mean, think about it.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Well, that's
It's
why I
the
love
most.
like Jack Benny. Jack Benny was like the king of, not speaking, the silent laugh. And
Yeah, and it's if you ever try, like I did an acting class once where we had to get our partner to do something without using words. That was the exercise in this acting class. It's impossible. I mean, you're like, how do you, you're, what do I, what? It just, yeah. I mean, to not use words,
yeah,
it's a stunning skill, like you say, Charlie Chaplin, all those guys.
all those guys. And so humor has been around forever, and we gotta figure out a way to get it back.
Yeah. Well, I think we started here today.
We certainly did. We certainly did. And I don't know, what else can we talk about? So have you
Well,
got
that's
any
not a good
gigs?
sign. That's never good. It sounds like you don't like the audience. That's what we say on stage. So what else is going on? Huh?
So what else? So where you from?
Have I
Yeah.
already? Have I
So
bored you? Have I not
yeah.
fulfilled?
So what else was I going to tell you guys? I hate when comics say. So what else was I going to tell you guys? I'm like, he just ran out of material. He just ran out of material.
He's out of stuff. So where are you two from?
Did I tell you this one already? Did I ever tell you the story about whatever? Oh man. So what's on the horizon? Do you have any gigs booked? Anything real live gigs coming up?
um, I think I have a one nighter in a few months. Like everything from last year got moved to this year.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, and I was actually lucky when everything got canceled last year. Well, not everything at the same time, one at a time. A lot of those gigs got moved to this year, which was I was happy. Like, oh, at least they're trying. And so some of those dates are coming up now, and I'm
Oh,
still sort of
good.
waiting. But the
Yeah.
answer to your question is no. I mean, generally, I used to be booked a year in advance, and a full year calendar, all that. And no, I mean, I think I have 3 things on the calendar. How about yourself?
No, I got one in June right now, and I'm working on some others. I'm just kind of like waiting it out a little bit just to see
Yeah,
what happens and
yeah.
waiting for calls, so to speak. And
Well, and I think it's going to suck. I mean, like I was trying to be home more anyway. Like when this was all going down, I was like, I can't just keep doing so many days a year on the road, especially for bad money and club. And I feel like the money is just going to be way
Oh,
worse. And
yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I
Yeah, that's
just
going to be
feel
the first complaint. It's like, oh, well, it can only do 33%, so we got to cut your pay 68%. You know,
right. Exactly.
we got to cut your pay 75% to cover for the other. It's like, wait, what? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm
Yeah.
not expecting the financial end of it to get any better. It's probably going to be worse. But I miss it. I miss being on stage, and for a while there, it felt like I didn't miss it, which scared me. I don't know if you
Yeah.
went through that. I went through a phase where I just felt like, you know, I don't mind not going out tonight. It's snowing. I don't.
Hmm.
I'm glad I don't have to drive to Jersey or to Poughkeepsie tonight. I'm
100%.
home.
100%.
8 o'clock on a Saturday, and I'm home, and it's freezing out. I don't
Yep.
have to start the car up and wait like to get 3 miles down the road for the freaking thing to warm up.
Yep.
I
That's
don't
one
miss
thing
that part.
No, it's one thing I learned about myself is like some comics have to be on stage, and if they go 48 hours, they start to shake, And that's not who I am.
Me
When I
neither. I
first
didn't
came
get that.
home, no, I was April and May of last year in particular. I was really content despite the circumstances. I wish obviously the world was not falling apart and people were suffering, but for myself personally, I was like, this is amazing. I haven't been in an airport. I haven't been in a hotel room. I live in New York City where they just bring food to your door and we just wash down the packaging, of course. But so, yeah, for April, May. And then by June, I started to get a little bit of an itch. Like I'm used to going somewhere. But
Yeah.
I'm with you. I did not have that I need to be on stage, thing at
No,
all.
no,
No.
yeah. I think it's because we've been around a while. But like I know some newer comics that I spoke to that were just, in it for a couple of years. They're like, I'm dying, I'm dying. I'm like, why am I? I was like sort of angry with myself. It's like, why? How come I'm not getting that feeling of needing to be on stage?
It's true.
I'm feeling like something's wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. You start beating yourself up.
Yeah, no, I think it's just, yeah, whether it's right or wrong, yeah, I mean, I miss it. I want to be back up. I was at my
Yeah.
happiest when I did a TV show and I had all these jobs that kept me in town way back in 2009. And I chose to go on the road. I could pick my gigs. I could pick
Right.
where I wanted to go. So I would go one weekend a month. I would go on the road and for like a Thursday through Sunday out to the Pittsburgh Improv or something. And that was when I was at my happiest. I was because it was on my terms. I wasn't
Right.
desperate for the money. I could just choose. And yeah, so I think once a month is a good schedule for me if I ever get to the point where I really can just call the shots.
Right. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I haven't done any road work in a while. I was on the road a lot, and then I just kind of got tired of it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the road work. It just was. I'm never comfortable. I got to sleep in my own bed, and I don't like to drive far places. And going to
Yeah.
Jersey on a Thursday night or a Friday night is brutal. It's just like, oh. And then you got to drive home and do it again the next night because I didn't get the hotel room because it's not far enough. It's like,
Yeah. Well, that's the crappy road. I mean, that is exactly, and that's what most of us are doing. It's until you
yeah,
become the theater guy, Seinfeld, or even just a
right,
name that's even Bill Burr. Those guys. I mean, now they're doing the nice road, and they still hate it. They still
right.
But Seinfeld's got a private jet, and he flies home at night to have breakfast with his kids. Whether he's in Vegas or wherever, and that's the difference. You and I are
Yeah.
sitting, in the Detroit airport at a Cinnabon. But yeah, no, I'm with you. That's the part of it that takes you. You love performing, but the road is just such a grueling lifestyle.
Right, yeah.
It's just it's hard to be healthy. It's that you get home late and you're exhausted, or So I don't miss
I
that
used
at
to say
all.
it's like 8 hours of pain for 30 minutes of glory. It's like if
Yeah,
you're on stage, because I was a middle guy. I really didn't get to that point where I was headlining clubs. I was middle, which is really hard because, I'm out there and it's brutal to get there and wait.
yep,
And I always want to get there early because I don't want to be late. Now I got 2 hours to hang around and
yeah, sitting
it's
there
just the
doing
whole
nothing.
thing.
At least
Yeah,
at
to
least you
get
get
on
to leave
stage.
early.
Yeah, to finally get on stage, it's like, okay, now I got to go home. It's like,
Right.
ugh,
No, exactly. Yeah. No, I'm with you. That's does it. But
yeah,
I don't think that ever changes. I think even the big names, even and anyone who travels for a living gets sick
yeah.
of traveling. And again, I mean, if I could do this for a living and sit on Zoom and be happy and get paid, although we'd find something to complain about with this too, right?
Yeah, of course. It's like, what do we got to complain about?
Yeah. My
I
lower
always say,
love
you
part.
got your health. I hate that line, you got your health. I
Yeah.
said the other day, you got your health is like the sweatpants of right? That's like you've given up. When you get down to sweatpants, you've given up on any fashion sense. When you say, yeah, at least I got my health, that's like you've given up. Right? That's
It's
all that's
exactly.
left. It's
Exactly.
the
You
end
had
of the
nothing
road.
left. You're at the bottom of the
Everything
barrel right now.
sucks, but at least I got my health. That's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to get to that point.
Yeah. No. Now you're really out of stuff,
Now
right?
you've
Yeah.
given up. Now you've surrendered. That's the end of
That's
the
true.
line.
That's true. And I'm not even
Right?
sure after a year of eating cheese, I'm not sure I even have my health. So
That's true. That's true.
oh man.
All right. Well, listen, I think we gotta cut it down. We've been on for a while. This is good.
Yeah.
Michael, you're the best, man. I love your act. I think you're
Thank you.
hilarious. And people should go see you whenever you come back and buy your albums. Do you make
Thank you.
CDs? Do you actually make CDs and sell
I
them?
do. I still make, well, I don't really sell them. I still make them because the place I make them through, you have to actually order physical CDs. I think it's like a minimum of 50.
Right.
So they do the digital distribution as well, but you still have to get physical CDs, which is obviously feels pretty antiquated. So I think I have like my last 2 or 3 CDs. I have 50 of them here if you want one. Even people don't even have a way to play them. Even my parents don't have a way to play them anymore, which is what I knew. I was like, all right, now they really are outdated. Because usually I go to do a cruise ship or something, and some of the older folks are like, yeah, I can still play a DVD. I have it, But even my parents now are like, no, we have this new car, we can't play a CD.
There's no CDs in cars anymore. It's bizarre.
Now it's all digital.
It's
Yeah.
all digital streaming.
Yeah.
That's a shame because I always wanted to put out a record, and
that apparently is still a thing, right? Like that's for those
vinyl.
Those author, yeah, exactly. And you can do that. This actually the company, if you're interested, the company that I use, I can't even remember the name off the top of my head, but I could email you. They do like it was an option. I was making it. They're like, would you like vinyl? And I was like, I don't think so. Yeah,
it must be expensive.
I didn't even click on the box to look. I don't know.
You should send me that. I might be curious to do something like that.
I'd be happy to. Yeah, make a vinyl
because I'm
record.
doing I have a musical parody group that I've been working on with called the Retirement Village People. Which is like funny.
I love
it's funny, right? You're laughing already. And we do parody songs. Yeah,
you're all about the names.
Yeah, and we do parody songs, and we're starting to write some originals, and I want to put like a 45, an EP, something. I want to do something.
100%.
I feel like I put out a record. It's
If you don't do it, then all you have is your health. So
there's the callback. Yeah, I don't want to get to that point that all I got is my health. There's a joke there, so I got to write that, figure that out.
Exactly.
But it does feel like it's the sweatpants of.
It's so true. It's so
the sweatpants. It's like you just officially surrendered.
Yeah.
Actually, worse than that is, at least I woke up today. That's probably worse.
Right. At least I woke up. That really is, though. Yeah, you really are grasping.
That's what 90-year-old. When you get to 90, it's like, oh, I woke up today.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
Who was it? Carl Reiner, I think, said the joke. It might have been the name of his book. He passed away. Was every morning I look in the obituaries. If my name's not in it, it's going to be a good day.
That's great.
That's his joke.
I like that. It reminds me of I was on the road once, and it was in a gym. And I went over to the stretching match, and this guy was there. Yeah, he kind of made eye contact. So I said, how's it going? And he just goes, just try to prolong the inevitable. And I was like, you just ruined my entire day. That's all we're doing here at the gym. Just trying to put it off a little longer. I was like, God.
I know. It's like, that's the ultimate in surrender. That's like you've surrendered. You just, it's over.
Die, just trying to feel better for an extra day.
One more day it is.
Well, I thank you for having me, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Man, this was great. It's always good to talk to good comedians, and you're the best, man. You're great.
Cheers.
And I will see you soon. Send me that email. I want to cut an album.
I'll happily do it. Yeah, I'll look up the name of the place.
Throw it in my Facebook Messenger or something.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Sommerville. Let's hear it for him.
Woo!
Late Night with David Letterman. Maybe you'll be back. Maybe you'll get on Fallon or something. I don't know.
That'd be nice. For now,
Is he a New York guy? Is he in New York?
Yeah, he's based in New York. Yeah.
Now, could it lead to that? Could you say, "Hey, I was on Letterman"? Could you? How does that work? Who knows?
I don't think
It's
so. They're
all
very
separate.
independent, and
Yeah,
they're very like. In fact, I had a Letterman set that I was ready to do that I didn't get on to Letterman to do, and I sent it to the other, and I couldn't even get any traction. So,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's
It
tough.
doesn't. I mean, it'd be fun to do, but it's not like it. Like you said, it's not like the '80s where you walk out with a sitcom.
I know. I know.
Yeah,
It's a shame. Well,
yeah.
look, let's not end on that. At least we got our help.
We got our help. Thanks so much, man.
Michael, you're the best. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. Hope to see you in person this year.
Yes, I hope so too. I really do. Nice
Take
talking
care.
to you, Michael. Take it easy.
You too.
All right.